Okay, what I got in the magic pot is deer meat. I'm going to brown the deer meat. This is the first step in my process of making vegetable soup in the magic pot. You really don't have to brown the meat, but I just like to because it tastes better to me. And you can do it in the same pot that you don't cook the soup in, so it's not like you're dirtying another dish. This isn't the best parts of the deer, but seeing as how I don't pressure cook these, they'll be alright. Now, I'll brown these while they're big, and then I'll cut them up after they've browned, and then I'll have them ready to put in the soup. So this will take a few minutes, and then we'll get on to making soup. Okay, what I've done here, I've browned the deer meat and I got it in the magic pot. Now this, like I say, it isn't the best pieces of the deer, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and pressure cook this separately. And there I have my float valve in. I'm going to set my timer, and I think I'll do 20 minutes, just because it's not very good deer meat. It's not the best choice of cuts off the deer, so I'm going to do that for 20 minutes. Then I'll open this pot back up and I'll put these potatoes and everything else for the soup in. Okay, what I've got now is I've got the meat cooked. I had a few frozen green beans that we grew in the garden, so I threw them in there already here. Now what I got here is I got two different kinds of pepper. I got some bell pepper and some banana pepper. I'm going to throw in there. Now with this ingredients here, you can throw just about, this part of it, you can throw about anything you got in there that you like in vegetable soup. I mean, if I had some regular carrots, I would do some carrots in there and whatever. Now I'm going to throw some of my frozen onions in the soup, for those of you that watched the frozen onion video. Now, what I got here is diced tomatoes. Sometimes I use diced tomatoes, sometimes I use the tomatoes that we do ourselves in the garden, but for this occasion I'm going to do a can of diced tomatoes. Okay. Now, a lot of you thinking you don't like this, but sauce. I usually use a can of tomato sauce with it. And that's, what, 15 ounce? Now, this is the potato that I already peeled and diced up. Now, I leave my potatoes a little bigger, just so they don't cook to nothing and everything, because I cook my soup a little longer maybe than what I should. I've already, like I say, I've already cooked the meat some because of what it was. Now, garlic salt. There's not much in here. There's maybe a teaspoon of garlic salt. I'm adding it. Pepper. Okay, we'll do a teaspoon of pepper. Salt. Regular salt. About a teaspoon of salt. Okay, now also I'm going to cheat a little bit. Mixed veggies. I'm cheating. So now I just add veggies in there. Depending on what size I'm making and how big the stuff is, how many I'll put in there. I think we'll go with that. That's a little over half the bag. Now another thing I'm going to put in there that I don't always put in, depending on if it's beef soup or if it is deer meat. Now seeing how this is deer meat, I'm going to go ahead and add in one beef bouillon cube. Now they also have soup base mix. It comes in a jar kind of powdered. I like that also, but for this purpose we're just going to throw in a bouillon cube. Now I'm going to get me some water. And I'm going to throw in a can of water. And I'll stir this up and take a peek and see what this is like. Okay. Now, I like my soup with some broth in it. Because if I have broth in it, I can use crackers. So I'll put another half a can of soup in. Or I mean water. Soup. Yeah, I'm making soup. Okay, now, this is about what I've got so far. I've put bouillon cube in. I've cheated, put frozen vegetables in, some salt, some pepper, a tomato sauce, and diced up tomatoes. Now you don't have to use, you can use any kind of tomato. It could be stewed tomatoes or whatever you want. Now, since I'm doing this in the magic pot, or otherwise known as my pressure cooker, I'm going to close the lid back up. Now, I'm going to set this for about, well, I'll do this for, I'll just go ahead and do it for 25 minutes. Or maybe I'll just go ahead and do it for 30. I set the timer for 30. I know that it'll be good and done. The deer meat will be more tender, so that's what I'm going to do. With regular beef, I don't really cook it quite as long. Now, if you're doing this on the stove top, you could do the exact same thing on the stove top. It's just that it's going to take you longer than what it would. You know, I did forget something. I forgot one thing here, and I still can add it in. I put some sugar in, because the tomatoes are pretty tart if not. So we'll just add a good tablespoon, maybe a teaspoon in. Now all these flavorings I'm putting in here can go by whatever your tastes are. So if you like things a little more tart, you just simply don't put as much sugar in. If you like things a little sweeter, then you can put sugar in. Now I'll get the lid back on. This will go for, I got it set for 30 minutes, and we'll have soup. Okay, my timer's down to nothing. I'm releasing the steam out of the pressure cooker. This will just take a couple minutes. Then I'm going to open it up and I'll stir it around a little bit and see what it looks like. Now the thing about the pressure cookers are, you can cook everything about 70% faster than you can on a regular conventional cook stove, so that really helps a lot. It doesn't take nearly as long to do something like this as it would have if I was doing this on the cook stove. And I don't lose as much liquids out of it either. More of your stuff stays in your meal because most of your liquids stay there, they don't boil away or nothing like that. the lid will be locked here until this quits steaming. So it's going to take just a second. And like I say, there's many different ways you can make soup and different things, and maybe I'll make another video here soon more about the actual working and using and setting the pressure cookers, but I was a little more just worried about making the soup on this one and kind of showing you what you can actually do in a pressure cooker. Now, about 45 minutes to 50 minutes is what this is actually cooked. That includes cooking the meat and everything. Like I say, if I was using a good cut of beef or some of the better parts of the deer, I could reduce that time even more. But seeing as how I was using the crappy parts of the deer, I wanted to make sure that was cooked so it would be more tender. I would say I could probably have done this in 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes if I would have had a better cut of meat. But okay, now we get the lid off. Set it down. We'll stir this around a little bit. And there we have vegetable soup. There's your soup. Get some crackers. And I think I'll try it.